Okay, and share screen. This one. And slideshow. Okay. Hi, man, everything is working tonight. Wonderful. I downloaded a new system called Zorin on my Mac, and yeah, I've got a new PowerPoint system on. New system, so my big Mac is working again. So let's hope for the best tonight. I believe everything will go smooth. Right, I've got our ELIM Advanced Course 9, and you will see this kaleidoscope of colors. So I believe that we were created with light or through light, and as you know, white light, when you break it down, it breaks down in 7 colors. I actually believe there's 8 colors. I'll tell you later why I believe there's 8. But I believe that everyone is unique in our creation. There's no 2 people on earth that is the same. And we all have some preferences and some intelligences, and we are going to talk about that tonight. So it's like some people have got 2 colors, some have 3 colors, and 5% of the world has got 4 colors. All the intelligences, there's 8 actually intelligences or preferences, and there's 4 preferences, but 8 intelligences. It's actually more preferences, but we'll talk about a little bit later. And that is in the brain, in the alpha. So if you go to the alpha and we talked about the sympathetic, parasympathetic, the autonomic nervous system, and neurovegetative system and metabolism. That's where we stopped last time. And we said that this is the most important place in our bodies, in our brain, because in the alpha is the creative side of our brain. And I've shown you the graph where you've got IQ and EQ, and then in the center runs the CQ, the creative part. So I believe that God has given us the creative part to be much more creative. But we are too much in the sympathetic, in the life that we're living now, the fast life, the rat race. So the sympathetic is causing a lot of problems when there's an imbalance between the sympathetic and parasympathetic. But when you enter more into the parasympathetic through deep belly breathing, and you train yourself, entrain yourself to use and to go into the parasympathetic, and get that balance between sympathetic and parasympathetic, but you must make time for it. But we are out of 12 hours a day when we are awake, we most of the time in the sympathetic, that is the rat race. And that is what caused a lot, well, I believe most of the diseases. So if we can get this right, we will get the digestive right, because we've shown you the influence that it has on the secretion of our pancreas, bile, and stomach acids. All the digestive juices that's necessary to break down the food and so on comes from, the signal comes from our alpha, from this part of our brain, through the vagus nerve. And then we also talked about the metabolism. And we said that the metabolism also is very, very important. It includes the liver, the spleen, the kidneys, and also the intestines. So they're all very important in the absorption and the secretion and the getting rid of all the toxins in our body. That's part of the metabolism. So tonight we're going to go to the intuition, analysis, calculation, and holistic. That's 4 parts of our brain. and we'll break them down. The names may differ a bit, but I'll tell you when we get to that. Intuition is the right brain, back brain. Analysis is the left front brain. Calculation, left back brain. And holistic is the right front brain. And then you've got the short-term memory and the long-term memory. Here you can also see if there is degeneration of the short-term memory or the long-term memory. And oils, the good oils is very important for that. And antioxidants and things like that. Okay, so there you've got the ELIM graph. So let's start with the analysis. Actually, I should have started with the intuition, but let's start with the analysis. The analysis is in the left front brain, and it is what it says. It's the analyzing side of our brains. And there's a lot of people that has this as a preference. We're actually born with this. This is not our personality. This is it's more than personality. It's the tools that you got. Through your genes from your father and mother, I believe it's God-given. That's your gifts. That's what was built into your tools for your life purpose. So that is very important. And every time when information comes into our brain or goes out of the brain through communication, when we're listening to communication, to when people or something speak to us, we listen to that from that angle. So an analytic person will listen with analyzing thoughts. So he will filter it through his analysis. He will ask questions about all the communication that comes into his brain. So it first comes through your ear, through your eyes, through your feeling, and then you analyze it. When you have a preference for analysis, left brain, front brain, and we'll talk more about that. The same with the other 4 parts. But you can have 2 or 3 of these. You can have opposites, and we're going to talk about that tonight also. So then the front right brain is the holistic. The reason why I'm first talking about the right brain, I'll tell you now. So we'll first go to the right brain and then to the back brain. So this is front brain. Front right brain and front left brain, the previous one. So this is people that sees the whole picture, and they do not look at detail, but they can see if instead of a lot of trees, they will see the whole bush of trees, and they ignore small detail and so on. Okay, then we've got the back left brain. That is the calculation. That's the people that has got a preference for figures and numbers and details. So they are opposite of B. B is the holistic people. So you can see they are opposite. B is the people that sees the whole picture, and C is the people that's opposite of them. Sometimes you get people that they are B and C. They'll make good architects, because C, you've got to have the detail and be precise, and B, you've got to see the big picture. So that's just one example, but they can be opposite, so it can be a problem as well. If you don't use it well, they can clash. The two can clash. The two sides of the brain can clash. Okay, so then you've got right brain. A is the intuition. These are the people with people skills, and they are people's people. They like working with people, and they've got all the people jobs like doctors and pastore and dominees and deacons. So they are the people person, psychiatrist, and so. Okay, so then we've got the short-term memory. The short-term memory is the gray area of our brain, the top layer of our brain. So that is short-term. And then we've got long-term, and long-term is the white. It's actually not where B is. B is the inner side of the brain. But below the gray area, there's a lot of white stuff. That's where the white cells is. And that's where the subconscious is. The gray area is the consciousness, and the white area is the subconsciousness. We talked about the subconsciousness when we talked about the delta and the theta. Now we are in the alpha. Okay, alpha is also still part of the subconsciousness, but I think it's a bridge from the subconsciousness to the consciousness, to the beta, from alpha to beta. Beta is the fast brainwaves. Okay, so let's start with the 4 brain quadrants. We've got 2 sides on the back brain, a right and a left side, and back brain is more emotional and impulsive. So sometimes you get people, they are not right and left, but they are both of their intelligences or preferences is at the back brain. So they are very emotional people and impulsive people. Then back brain, left is emotional, self-reflective, and introvert. So back brain is that green one that we saw, the calculation one. Left is emotional and self-reflective. Usually they are introverts, and I'll tell you why. Because one of their intelligences is to be an introvert. They get their energy when they are alone. They can sit long time in a room. It doesn't bother them if there's other people or not. They actually like the space. Then you get back brain. The right side is the emotional, codependent side. Codependent means they are very dependent on other people, what other people say of them, what other people think, and they are outward and they are very social. So that's the difference between the back brain and then we're going to the front brain. The front brain quadrants is more decision making and acting. So it's thinking and acting, not waiting. The back brain will wait and first look at all the detail of how he's feeling. But if you front brain, you'll make a decision and quickly go over to action. Front brain left, that is the analysis part, is very analytic and ask a lot of questions. And they are only black or white. There's no gray areas with them. And then the front brain right sees futuristic and the whole picture. We already said that that's the yellow one. The right brain yellow one is whole picture, creative thinking, and sometimes ignoring detail. Then you've got the, okay, let's start with the left front brain, the analytical side. There's 2 intelligences there. I said in every quadrant of our brain, there's 2 intelligences. So in the left front brain is mathematical and linguistic, language. Okay, so these people are good with maths and language. They are very analyzing and questioning. They will always question everything. So they want to see black or white, no gray areas. So they want to make sure. That's why they analyze everything. I know my son is a bit like this. And when he was small, he asked me a lot of questions. I know there are many small children that does that. That's how they learn. But sometimes he was tiring me because, you know, he would ask me why and what and when, and he just keeps on asking questions. But that's how they learn, through asking questions, because they want to make certain of the black and white. And they are very, very competitive people. with everything in their life. They set goals, and they stick to it. They are very bossy, and also have a little empathy with other people. So these would be people that, like your attorneys or advocates, or people that's leaders, but they are strict leaders. And we call them the movers. So they move things, and they can be rude. So when they want to do something, they can be stubborn and very, very decisive and non-empathetic. So they won't feel anything. They will walk over people, and they are actually sometimes very bossy. And they are also contemplators. Contemplator means they think, and they need space. They are thinkers. They think, and they work out their plan, and then they go over to action. And they analyze everything, and then they will do something about it. So they are the movers and the contemplators. Mathematical, linguistic. So if you are a left, you've got a strong left brain, front brain, you will be good in maths. And I've always told the children when we did this life skills and study skills with them at schools, that, you know, the reason why people think maths is very, very difficult is just because their mates tell them that. And then they believe it. We talked about wrong beliefs. But actually, these people, I always encourage them, man, you are good in maths. You are good in your linguistics. You can do it because it's your preference. That's how your brain works. So, yeah, so I always encourage them to carry on with their maths and don't take the easy path. Then we've got the left back brain is the calculative side, calculation. And their two intelligences is kinetic. Kinetic means they are good with movement and rhythm. So sports, and they've got a lot of ball sense, and their hand-eye coordination is very good. And their eye-feet coordination, that's why they are moving. And when they learn, they will, I've got a grandson like this, the smallest grandson, I think he's 10 now, or he's getting 11. When his mother helps him with his, through, you know, to learn through the exams, he will stand on his head, and you can't sit still, you know, but that's how they learn. They learn with movement. They must move to learn. And then they also have intrapersonal. That means that they can sit on their own and they get energy when you leave them in silence. They are deep thinkers. And they like to be alone, so that they are loners. They will only have one or two special friends. They're not group people. So, and they will be friends for life with that one or two people. So they are intrapersonal. That's the opposite from the other left brain. They prefer detail. So when you talk to them, you must give them A, B, C, D, E, and it must be in order. So that's how they process their information that comes into their brain. They work very accurately because they are perfectionists. They try to do everything perfectionistic. And that's sometimes a big problem, because there's a difference between to be perfect and to have excellence. Excellence is you try your best. And perfectionist is somebody that goes overboard, and most of the time they're disappointed because they set their goals too high, and then they can't come by, and then they get depressed. So yeah, this can be a problem area in their life. They are good with movement, we already said that, and they also have good rhythm with any musical instrument. They can play drums or guitar, any rhythm musical instrument, they will be able to master it quickly. They are also, they are doers, so they are very practical. So when you give them a task, when you ask them to do something, you must give them all the detail. You can't give them an overall picture, a big picture. They don't like it. They don't like surprises. So if you are on the other side, on B is the right front brain. The right front brain is the people that comes with ideas. They are entrepreneurs and things like that. You can't drop it on C, because C won't see the big picture. They look at the detail. So when you communicate with them, you must communicate A, B, C, D up to Z. Everything in detail. And never surprise them, because you will catch them on the wrong foot. They will say, no, I'm not going for this. But I know, because I've got family like this on the left side, and I can't drop a big thing in their lap, because they won't understand it. So you must take time with these people. They are practical people, but they are very loyal. They are very task orientated and server orientated. So they like to serve. That's why we call them the doers, okay, the practical guys. So a lot of practical people, all your technical people, your IT people, they are all in this category, the calculation. They work with zeros and ones, computers. And also they are shapers, because they do the things in the time management is very important to them. They always have a to-do list, and they write everything down, make notes. They are organizers, and they like details, as I said. So you can't just give them a picture. And what we've said last time is that Dr. Rudy Bay says that information comes in on the left brain. Now, all of us has got a left brain, but some are stronger on the left side than others. And he says, because left is so practical, and it's just facts and analyzing things and the ABC of things, that it can be negative when your eyes see something and you see, well, you're just looking at with your natural eyes at the thing, and you can quickly think negatively about a thing, that it won't work. So you'll find that if you have something with a left brain like this, your left brain people, I've worked many years in the church, and in meetings, you always find that these people are a little bit of handbrake. They just look at the practical side. You will come with a big plan and the vision, and then they'll pull up the handbrake, because they are very practical, but they don't easily see the big picture. So these were opposite of me always. This C, I am B. And so I always had a hard time with these people in board meetings, where we sat, and when I come with a vision and they can't see it and catch the vision, I was also always a bit frustrated, until I did these tests when I was 50. I did it in my life. And then I understood myself better, because then I found out what my strengths and my weaknesses were. And that helped me a lot. And also, me and my wife did it together. So we found ourselves with this, and this is eye-opener to many people when they do these things, when they do these tests. So I promised you that I will send you the questionnaire, and then we will test it with the ELIM. There's a lot of questions. I think there's 48 or 60 questions that you answer yes or no, and sometimes. And then I'll draw a graph and I'll show you where your strengths and weaknesses is. But you will see yourself here, even when you look at this. All right, so then we go to the right brain, the back brain. It's called intuition. And most of these people has got a sixth sense. So they've got a good feeling about things. And their two preferences is not intrapersonal, but interpersonal. So they like other people. And they also have a good musical ear. So they like listening to music, and they love music, and they are team workers. Unfortunately, their telephone accounts is usually very high every month because they talk a lot on the phone, and they like to talk to people. They have got good people skills, so they like team working, and they know how to handle people. Because they have a good hearing, they are good listeners. They can listen to people without interrupting. So I said, this people here is all the people's people. They've got all the personality to work with people. They are emotional also because it's back brain. And we call them the responders. So they've got a lot of mercy, empathy, and courageous. So they are again opposite of D. D is the analytical people. And so you'll get people that sometimes, I have a grandson that this is like one of our family members that is D and A. And he's a doctor, he's a medical doctor. So the D side of him is very analytical, and the A side of him is very emotional. So he's got a lot of mercy and empathy with his patients and so on. And many a time the people are not sick, they're just going there for counseling. But these two, because they are opposite of one another, one is the front left and the other is on the back right brain, it can clash because there can be a thing which they must decide over, and they would like to think with their head but feel with their heart, and that can clash. You know, do I think with my head or do I feel with my heart? They are also producers, so they are very hospitable, and they've got a lot of resources. So they like people, they're very social, like going out and visit with people and talking to people, and they get their energy actually from other people. So what other people think about them is very important to them, and it can be a problem as well. Then we've got the right front brain, that is the holistic side. The two intelligence here is creativity and nature. These are the nature people. As I said to somebody tonight, I get my energy from nature. If I feel a bit frustrated or what, as soon as I get into the nature, it cleans my head. And they are very creative, and they also see the big picture, three-dimensional people. They see three-dimensionally. They are holistic thinkers. They are the entrepreneurs, and they are very creative. They've got a lot of ideas. not all the ideas is always practical, but they also are adventurers, and they are influencers. So they've got a skill to encourage. They are encourager, intuitive, and they are networkers. So they also like to work with other people, in partnerships and things like that. And they are also very good entrepreneurs. Right, we've already said that. So this can be a problem if you've got B and C. They are opposites. So sometimes you can get 3 of these brain preferences. We have, as I said, we've got all these brain preferences, but some are stronger. And because that's your preference, that when information comes in, it can, this is like a filter that filters all the information that comes into your brain. So if you can't see the picture and you speak to a person that's right brain, this B, the yellow one, let's give you an example. For instance, in a classroom, the B children are the children that dream a lot. So when the teacher comes and everything is a lot of facts on the C side, it's A, B, C, D, E. When the teacher get to C, they'll lose interest because that's not the filter. So that filter of theirs will filter out detail. They don't like detail because they see the big picture. Actually, they already know the answer. So that's why they lose attention, and many times these children are called ADD or ADHD because the teacher, most teachers is A and C, they're back brain people, because they love children. They're not always A and B on the right side. Sometimes they're on the left side, especially, or D. D is a math teacher. So they are opposite of B, because maths is science, it's formulas, and it will bore B. So yeah, there's schools in the United States where they work with all 8 these intelligences, this IQ, where the teachers are trained to, when they present information to the children, that they use pictures, they use nature, they use movement, they use music, they use facts. So the teachers are trained to attend to all 4 of these sides of the brain. And I know there's also movements, I think in South Africa as well, where it's actually fantastic if you get a company where you've got all 4 these groups, because B is the pictures, the people that comes with the plans. They are the creative people, the entrepreneurs. So I know there's a business, I heard about it, there was a business in Gauteng somewhere. I know that they were selling software. So especially, I think, games and things like that. So they had all 4 these groups. So what they will do is they will send the B people overseas to go to expos there and to see what is the new stuff on the market. And then that group will come back with all the ideas and they will explain it to D. D is the analytical side. And they will analyze everything and say, okay, let's prioritize. Let's do this 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's put the others on ice. We think these are the good ones. And then they will use the C group, that is the programmers, to program the games and get everything ready for it, that it's working on the computer, and test it, because these were the practical people. And then they would get A to do the marketing. Okay, design with B, they can design the labels and the pictures and how they're going to pack it, and then they will market it. A is they are marketers, the emotional people, because marketing is always emotion. You use emotion to sell. That's why they use a lot of pictures and emotion. When they're selling on the TV, you can just look at it, how they do it on TV or in magazines or wherever they're advertising. You actually need all four this sides to have a complete a business in a business. So the most problem is because C is always the people that works with the finances. So because they work with figures, they work with the books. The books will and finances will be in order because they know how to work with money. Don't give it for B, because B will take cash out of the till. Okay, so the strengths of a left back brain, that is the calculation people, left brain, they are very accurate and precise. They work very systematically. So they will take it step by step and take it from the foundation, like you build a house, and they will work it step by step and systematically work out the time frames and what will happen next. And so they is the people that does the planning, and they does it very good, but usually they are very slow because planning takes proper time and to do things accurate and precise. They have very good kinetic skills. That means their rhythm and their movement. So they can't sit still for a long time. So they've got to, if you have a child that learns like this, let him walk, and when he does his learning. They're usually very, very loyal. They'll stay in one job for the rest of their life. And they are specialists in their field. So they become specialists because they just focus on one thing at a time. They plan and work slowly on any project. And they are very, very practical, like we said, and they like IT. Okay, that's the computer science and things like that. Their weaknesses, the weaknesses of a left back brain is perfectionism, as we said. Excellence is good. Perfectionism is setting the goal too high, because there's no perfect people in this world. And trying to be perfect is wrong. Introverts, usually they are introverts, and they can easily become very pessimistic and depressed. So depression is a lot in this area, because when people and life is not perfect for them, they'll get a little bit pessimistic and depressed and easily feel like a failure. There's too much emphasis on detail. So sometimes it's better for them to relax a bit, to go into to develop the right brain side, where you learn to relax more, because these people are very tense, because they must do everything perfect. And if it's not perfect, it's troublesome for them. They worry about it. It's not good. It's just the way they are. So if you've got somebody that you know opposite of you, just try to understand how they are different. They've got different colors than you. Their greenness may be bigger than yours. So you also have that side, but you can learn it. You can learn it, but that doesn't come natural. like music. Some people are just born with music. These people are born with rhythm, but you can learn it, but it takes time. So we actually don't have any excuse, and you can't say because I'm not left back brain, I'm going to stay weak in this. You must get make to-do lists and make notes and things like that, because you'll get to a time when you won't remember everything. Okay, so there's too much emphasis on detail. They do not see the whole picture. So never dump a big picture on them, because they are going to pull up the handbrake and it's never going to fly, because they don't see the big picture. But you can share it, but be careful how you share it. Don't surprise them. They are very conservative. They've got conservative thinking. And as I said, do not dump a surprise on them. And they are sometimes very unsocial. They don't like, they are like rather stay at home and have a peaceful night at home with their family, and so on. They are loners. Okay, then strengths of the left front brain. They analyze and work on plans. They plan before they work, and they work on plans. They are very competitive, and that drive is necessary for a mover. They are very task-orientated, not people-orientated. So the work must get done. Don't worry about the people. They are very timely, never come late for appointments, and they are very disciplined. Okay? They are good leaders. They can be good leaders, or they can be bad leaders, because when they're too bossy and they walk over people, they're going to lose a lot of their staff. They are drivers, okay, drivers. And the leader is not always good when he drives, but when he leads, when he walks in front, okay. They say in Israel, a shepherd doesn't walk at the back of the sheep. He walks in front. He leads his sheep and he calls them by name. That's the shepherds in Israel. So drivers are people that says you must do it, but you don't. They don't show you how to do it. And if you do it wrong, they are a bit strict sometimes. They think everything through. Okay, the weaknesses. Okay, no, sorry. Strengths of front brain and the weaknesses of front left brain. They are short-tempered, so these people skills are lacking unless they train themselves to have people skills. They do not see gray areas, so it's only black and white, right or wrong, right or wrong. There's no gray areas. They can walk over people. They can be very bossy and unforgiving. They are not good team workers unless they've got blue and red. They've got analytical side and people skills. That's a good combination. And they can easily suppress other people's and ideas and things because they'll think that their idea is the best idea. We must do it in this way, and they don't see the other sides of the big plan. They only think they are right. Okay, the strengths of the right back brain, that is the intuitive people. They've got a lot of people skills. They are good listeners, so you can talk to them. They always have an ear. They always have a shoulder. That's not always good, because people can misuse you and walk over you. And team workers, they like working in teams, and they are very musical. They've got a good ear, as I said. They're also very timely, on time, because they don't like people should think of them as there's something wrong with them because they're not on time. So yeah, they always take people, they consider people, they consider other people. They're very hospitable, they always like to treat you, and they are organizers of people. So these are team builders, team workers. And as I said, there's no right or wrong. It's not right brain or left brain or blunt or black brain. You've got it, you're born with it. And that's why at school, certain subjects would have frustrated you. I took bookkeeping, I think it's done at 6. I could never understood it. I could never understood it. I battled. I didn't like the teacher. And I could never understand, because they said it's so easy, you know. You've got creditors and debtors, and I could never, you know, understand this. And it was not the teacher's fault. It was because it's not a preference, but it was not an excuse for me. So I left that. I went technical and more holistic and things like that. So yeah, that's why certain subjects in school was very difficult for you. And later on in life, you had to learn these things. So, okay. Weaknesses of this right back brain, too emotional. Codependency is they're too dependent on the other people. And people can let you down, and then you can be very disappointed. They can be people pleasers, and that's wrong. You cannot please people, and you will never please people. Even Christ, he was perfect, and he had 12 disciples, and one of them sold him, and the other one denied him, and they all fled. So you cannot be a people pleaser. They worry too much because they gaan die bobbejaan agter die berg haal. So they see a problem easily because they feel a lot. They're emotional people. Emotions can be up and down. Emotions can drop you. You know, if you're too emotional. One day you fly high, and next day you're down in the valley. They can be impulsive, not always that practical, and easily overspending because, yeah. Okay. Then the strengths of the front right brain is the entrepreneurs and adventurers. They like to dare things and to step out and do things. They are dreamers. They're not always realistic of everything. They've got lots of ideas. And actually, they don't label them as AAD. It's wrong. Because these people see the big picture fast. And when you come with a lot of detail, you bore them. They see the whole picture quickly. They are very creative. And you get the actors here and the entrepreneurs, and they are very hospitable. So they always like to spend time with people, right brain people, and so on. The weaknesses of the right front brain, the holistic people, is sometimes they're too impulsive. They miss small detail. And that was my problem with maths, because I'm opposite of this. I'm on the green side, if you can remember. I'm a front right brain entrepreneur. And I missed with maths. I wasn't bad at maths. I like algebra and things like that. But in the exams, I sometimes missed small detail, a comma or something small, and with spelling as well, because language is in the right front brain and maths is in the right left brain, the language and the maths. And left brain back is opposite of this holistic people. So they miss small detail and easily make provinces. Sometimes they have too many ideas. They don't focus enough. They're not always on time, and they can spend too much financially because they're opposite of the left back brain, the people that works with money and bookkeepers. So they're opposite of them. They don't think about the money. They leave it to that people. That people says the budget is not, doesn't work out. And one weakness of these people, they like to extend their holidays. Okay, so they like their holiday makers, adventurers and things like that. Okay, so there's not a right or wrong. I'm just showing you this because actually we must try to be whole brain, to have all these preferences, but you're just born with certain. So I think when you think about the reason why you're here on earth, it will be to determine what is my tools, why am I here, what is my strengths. So that the benefit of knowing this is that you know your strengths and your weaknesses, and you understand other people when you communicate with them. Understanding your family, your children and your husband or wife, and you also, when you understand people and how they communicate, you understand why you sometimes clash, because and with the most marriages, you've got a left and a right brain that marries. So that is to complete one another, not to clash. They say usually you choose your mate, your wife or your husband, where you see your weaknesses. It's usually like that. Not always, not 100%, but usually it is like that. So you will have different. You can clash. You can choose to clash on the weak, because your wife's weak point will be your strong point, and the other way around. So it's to fulfill one another. That's why I think God has given your mate and a wife and a husband so that you can complete one another. And also understand your children, because in a house, I've got 6 grandchildren now, and I can see because I know these preferences, I know these brain preferences, I can see my grandchildren where they are. Some of them are left brain, other are right brain preference, and you know how to handle them, how they think. And communication is one of the biggest problems in the workplace, in marriages, with father and mother and children. And because we don't understand how people communicate, what angle they come from, what filters they have. So if you understand when you look at people, when you're dealing with people, so for instance, you are marketing something, you must determine what type of person you're talking to. Are they factual? Do they want to know the ABC up to Z? Or do they have a lot of questions, to get the black and white? Or do they buy with their emotions? Are they emotional buyers? Or do they buy because it's an adventure for them, or they see the big picture, So if you understand how people communicate, it will cause a lot of it will help you with a lot of problems that can sometimes come our way. Okay, so knowing, you will know how to improve your whole brain, which is your weak sides. You will also know how to understand and work with others and doing what you were born for. This is your life's goal. So everybody got some tools, and God gave us some gifts, tools, so that we can do what we were born for. And so that you can know how people think and communicate. Okay, so in the old times, the old doctors like Hippocrates, and when what they believed is they believed in the humors. Humors is the fluids in our bodies. So they said there's 4 personalities. And they summed it up, and it's almost the same as the brain preferences and this. So they refer to too much bodily fluids. And the bodily fluids that they talked about is bile, black bile, blood, and phlegm. Okay, so they classified it in 4 groups, almost like the Chinese people, because Chinese also has the 4, heat and cold and dry and what is the other one? Actually, in any case, so what they said is, if you have too much bile, they must get some bile out, or too much blood. They must get bloodletting, cut you so that the blood can come out. So that was how they thought about health and how you've got too much of these. But why they said this is that it's connected, like the Chinese believe, with your organs. Like, for instance, they said bile is bitter, and they connected it with anger and temper, and connected it to the gallbladder and the liver. So they said people, these are the analytical group that we talked about, the bossy type of people. They easily get bitter, they keep anger, they would not forgive, and that brings liver disease. Just think of that, because if the gallbladder and the liver, because you can connect emotions. Remember, we are connecting emotions, because this is an emotional thing, the sympathetic, parasympathetic, what we talked about. We come back to sympathetic, parasympathetic. That's where all the emotions come from. And usually it is like this. People get liver problems, but then they don't think of it as an emotional thing. It's because I could not forgive somebody, because I'm bitter about something. I kept my anger. And so now we come back to psychology again, that you must talk to people about this. So a liver problem is not only a physical problem, it can be an emotional problem. Also, black bile refers to the spleen. The spleen is your joy or depression organ. People with no joy can have spleen problems. That's where the blood is cleansed. And depression comes from a spleen that's dirty, too much dirty blood, too much toxins, because the spleen cleans the blood. So if you are too serious in life, you don't laugh a bit or don't have joy, and everything is, like, I'm on my own, it's me and my own, I don't need other people, I don't need to be happy, to be social, then you can easily fall into this thing and develop a spleen problem. I not always say it's because of emotions, but sometimes emotions can be the cause of that. Okay, and then blood. The blood, you got too much blood, you're warm-blooded, you've got high and low blood pressure, and that refers to the kidneys and adrenals and stress. And then phlegm phlegm comes from the lungs, and it comes from the heart. And they say that people with like asthma, they have asthma because of a lack of love. So too little oxytocin. I just thought this is of interest to you. So that's why I added it here. Okay, so we are finished through this part. So I just want to mention something that I was thinking of, and that is I want to mention to you we're almost through. So next week we're going to do the beta waves and emotions and things like that, because beta is energy. So we're going to talk about that a lot. And I will also add the frequencies of the alpha. I haven't put it on the slides. So I'll also put it on so that you can use it when you want to treat people on the vagus nerve, like we said here, on the neck is where the vagus nerve comes down. So you can put any frequency there, and we will talk about that more in the future. I'm trying to develop something that I think it was maybe a weakness of the ELIM, that it was only a scanning tool, but I'm trying to add something now that will also treat people effectively with frequency. So we are working on it. So next week we'll do the beta. That's number 10, advanced course number 10. And then we will do 5 of the main systems in the body, like your endocrine system, digestive system, all the cleaning systems in the body. So we'll talk about that and a little bit about allergies and so on. In the next 6, next week will be the 10th, and then 5 after that next month on the rest of the ELIM. And then after that, so that is what I want to the point that I want to make tonight is that what I want to do is I want to, it's a suggestion that came from one of our people, that we must actually put our heads together, because we are, you know, our therapy is so wide. It's a holistic thing. It's spirit, soul, and body. That and we cannot patch up people. We must do a proper thing when we treat people. You cannot just, you know, get them something to drink or whatever. So what I'm suggesting is that if you have cases that you would like to discuss, so when we finish after the 15 sessions that we've did, we are going to have once a week on a Wednesday night a discussion group. So what I want you to do is, if you have a difficult case that you are working with, you're not getting results with that person, that I'll tell you when the time is right, get that thing ready so long, and then we will organize that you send it in the week before. So, and then we will discuss it. We'll have a group session where you can talk. We'll put our heads together. 2 koppe is beter as 1. En dan gaan ons kyk na case studies, en ons gaan daai case studies bespreek, en miskien kan ons aangaan daarmee elke woensdag aand vir die wat wil. Jy hoef dit nie te doen nie, maar ek dink dit gaan baie leersaam wees as ons mekaar kan help, en jy weet, om iemand kan gesels, en dit gaan maak dat ons dan beter resultate kry met ons behandelings as ons meer koppe by mekaar sit as 'n team. En dit gaan ook 'n lekker span ding word, waar ons dan ook weet dit wat ons reeds doen, wat ons regtig kan, want ons sit elkeen maar op die elkeen op 'n plek iewers reg oor die land van Nelspruit af tot hier in die Kaap, soos van noord tot suid en oos tot wes, en sommige is in die Vrystaat en ander is in Gauteng en so aan. So wat ons gaan dan doen is, dan gaan ons bietjie koppe bymekaar sit om case studies op te bou, en dan gaan ons daai ons moet op video hê, so vir die toekoms, en kom ons kyk hoe werk dit, en dan kan ons dit in die toekoms dan meer gebruik, dan ons ook meer toegang en kontak met mekaar, en ons wil regtig 'n groep bou wat professioneel is en wat regtig ons hart is om mense te help. Dis regtig my hart, en ek glo almal van julle se hart ook. Ons het almal daai rooi gedeelte in ons, wat ons people's persons is, en ja, wat ons mense 'n bietjie wil help. As daar enige vrae is oor vanaand, dan is julle baie welkom om nou julle mikrofoon aan te sit en miskien of 'n bydrae te maak, en dan net te sê as daar ietsie is wat julle miskien nie reg verstaan nie. Julle kan op die ELIM gaan kyk, as jy op die printing options gaan van dit wat ons nou vanaand gedoen het, dan sal jy sien die sterktes en die weaknesses van mense, en dit beteken nie dat as ek swak is in 'n sekere deel, dat ek moet swak bly nie. I can develop it, I can learn anything, we can develop, we must become whole brain people. And that is important, because yeah. So that is my amen. Anything, anybody? Silence is golden. Are you thinking? All right, I greet you. Have a nice week.
Dankie Jan, lekker aan.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Lekker aand vir julle.
Okay.